So welcome to our Small Business First. I'm Doreen Tannenbaum, and I am the Strategic Initiatives and Communications Manager for Procurement Services. One of my strategic initiatives is the Small Business First program, in addition to sustainable procurement. I am also in charge of all the website requests that come in, and any website issues that you may have, you can go straight to me, and I'm happy to help you with that. As you can see, we have robust training guides available on our website, on the procurement website at procurement.uci.edu. That top section here, there's a training section that we've added in the last couple months. And if you click on that, you can reach all of our training materials and all of the slides and videos for our previous presentations that we've had. In addition to those training materials, you're always available to contact Shauna Neiswanger at shauna.n@uci.edu to get a one-on-one training or a departmental training for your team if you need any further assistance with anything. Now I'm going to introduce you to Snehal Bhatt.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking the time from your busy schedules to attend one of these departmental buyers meeting that we are trying to schedule on a regular basis, just to keep everybody abreast of what's going on in the procurement world, any new things that we need to push through or share with you all. I know we have already conducted a session on small business first policy earlier, but we figured that that is a point of pain point for a lot of people. A lot of people still seem to have a lot of questions and not fully up to date on what the policy is or how we can support and help you to meet with this policy requirements or compliance requirements. So we figured that we'll put that on the agenda today. We do have a team that does help the campus with the implementation of the policy, and they will go through some of the high points of the policy and how they can support you. While we are getting close to now fiscal close, it's almost end of April. Time's flying by. Don't know where 2022 started, and we are in the end of April. So I'll just give a very brief update on some of the dates. Obviously, the details of all the various fiscal close dates will be coming out in a memo and a letter from the controller, along with all the other dates for accounting and fiscal services. But I just thought I would just point it out to all of you, at least some of the dates and why we try to schedule these dates the way we do, just so you all have a little bit of a brief overview on that. Having said that, I think we will go ahead, and of course, if you have any Q&A, we'll be more than happy to answer your questions, as we always do. So with that, I will go ahead and let Doreen proceed. Oh yes, before we get into those, just as a friendly reminder again, just want to make sure that everybody that is attending these sessions, many of you who are attending it on a regular basis have heard this and probably getting bored of me telling this, but it's always good for people who may be fresh or new and have not attended these sessions before. I always like to re-emphasize the very fact that they have delegated authorities for various signatures. And for all procurement-related transactions and agreements, procurement is the office that's been delegated the authority to sign any agreements. So we request that none of the departments should actually be signing any of the agreements with the suppliers. Here are some of the various policies that we would want you all to be familiar with and up to date, so that you know what all we have to go through in order to make a purchase. The UCOP has PUS 43, which is really what the guiding principle is for us in procurement across the system. The subset of that is 707-10 for UCI, and then we also have 701-23. That is actually for sales and service agreements that you all who engage in that activity should be aware of. Obviously, the California Public Contracts Code is very important for us, which is what actually requires us to have a competitive bid done for any purchases that are over $100,000. And uniform guidance applies to all the federal funded purchases. So we need to comply with that as well. And then small business first and covered services and the fair work, fair wage that we haven't even listed here. Those are all UC policies that we are required to follow. Wanted to make sure that you all are aware of that. Doreen, take it from here.
Thank you, Snail. So I would like to introduce my team. We have Shauna Neiswanger. She is our Procurement Training and Communications Assistant. She's also our Small Business Coordinator. Lauren Carter, who recently joined us in the last year, is a Small Business First Compliance Coordinator. She is helping a lot of our vendors become certified small businesses. And we also have Lily Zabrianoff. She is our Procurement Assistant and Sustainability Coordinator. So she helps with a lot of our sustainable procurement. So first off, I'd like to start with why we support small businesses and the importance of our Small Business First program. The small business community is the engine of the state's economy. And in California, we have over 4 million small businesses, which employ nearly half of our entire private workforce. For every $100 that we spend at a small business, $68 of that stays in California. So contracting with and procuring with small businesses and diverse businesses really helps create and sustain jobs that make our economy stronger. So I will go over our Small Business First policy. It actually came about, as Snail mentioned, last year. So this is a little bit of a refresher. But last March 1st, we're the first campus out of all the UCs to implement the Small Business First policy, and we're fully compliant. So just a brief overview. If the annual if the purchase order is between 10,000 to 100,000, then only one quote is required from a certified small business. And I want to really hone in on the certified part. There are a lot of small businesses, but for our purpose to become compliant with this policy, they have to be a certified small or disabled veteran business enterprise. If annual transactions, I don't know why I keep saying that. That's what our previous guidance was, but we've changed it, and we changed it to purchase order. So if the purchase order is between 100,000 and 250,000, then 2 informal quotes are required for a small business, from a certified small business or a disabled veteran business. If for whatever reason you cannot find any small or diverse businesses that can go ahead and supply you with a quote, that's where the waiver process comes into play, and then we can assist you with that. And I'll go over that in a few slides. So it's our fiscal responsibility to the university to provide savings and benefits wherever we can. So if you are choosing one of the bids with a higher bid amount, we're gonna need a justification for that. So keep that in mind. And if it is a purchase over 100,000, you'll still need to fill out that SSPR form. I'm gonna turn over to Shauna now, and she's gonna go over the slide.
Thank you, Doreen. The SBF program is an enabler of our preceding UC EASR goal of 25% addressable spend by fiscal year 2023. The goal also tracks spend with a broader range of qualified small and diverse owned businesses than those allowed under the Small Business First program. And now I'm going to turn it over to Lauren.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Carter, and I'm going to be reviewing the Small Business First website. So our Small Business First website is an excellent resource for all questions related to Small Business First. There are 8 sections, but I'm going to highlight a few. So under our list of certified and onboarded small business and disabled veteran business enterprises, you'll find a new spreadsheet of existing UCI vendors who qualify for Small Business First. In this list are 6 high-spend commodities, including IT, marketing, transcription, translation services, life science equipment, life science materials, and AV rentals. If you have feedback on the vendor quality of the vendors listed, please let us know and we can make the appropriate changes. We also have resources on how to search for small businesses and disabled veteran business enterprises using Cal eProcure and Supplier IO, for Supplier IO, you can access through your single sign-on. Under the UCI waiver and video section, you will find the link to the DocuSign Power Form and a helpful training video on how to complete the waiver. At the bottom of the page is a process map, and it is designed to help determine whether Small Business First applies to your purchase. This is the process map, and you will start on the far left, so where it says start, and answer the questions accordingly. By the end, you should arrive at one of three options. Small Business First does not apply to your purchase, a waiver is needed, or you are able to find a small business using one of our search tools. However, if you're unsure, please feel free to contact us at smallbusiness@uci.edu. On the bottom right, we have the list of SBF exemptions, and on the bottom left is the list of potential waiver justifications, which we will now review. For SBF exemptions, these do not require a waiver. So some of the common ones that we see would be federal funds purchases or purchases related to design and construction, which are governed by the UC Facilities Manual. Therefore, please make sure to review this list because it may save you a lot of time. Next, we'll review the justifications. So for the waiver justifications, some of the common reasons that you may not be able to find a small business is because there's no suppliers in the needed area or goods and services are offered by one supplier. However, we still do want to encourage you to make that search for small businesses, and if you need further assistance, we're always ready to help. So thank you so much.
So in addition to what we've told you already, we wanted to just clarify that your first go-to should always be with the contracted supplier whenever possible. So remember to check in UCI Buy as well as your vendor catalogs that have an because your vendor catalogs in there have an existing agreement that meets the SBF exemption requirements. In addition, you can also check our website for any supplier lists as listed on our website, for any suppliers listed on our website. If no exemptions apply, you can utilize the Supplier IO Explorer tool that can be accessed by using your single sign-on credentials. Explorer collects the information from all small and diverse certifications nationwide. If the supplier is based out of California, you can also check the Cal eProcure site for their state certification. Links to these tools will be provided in the resources slide.
Thank you, Shauna. So we've prepared some resources to better assist with the waiver process. I'm going to go over the details of the waiver on the next few slides, but take a look at the resources available to you and ensure that you have everything that you need to get the waiver approved quickly. Typically, waivers are completed within 24 hours. Oftentimes, you'll get a response within a few minutes. We don't want to be the bottleneck in any of these waivers, so I will review waivers in the evenings, on the weekends, because we want to make sure that your purchases go through, and we understand supply chain issues, so we don't want to hinder any of those processes for you. Again, for the POs over 100,000, you'll need to bid out from another small business or a DVBE if it's not a sole source situation. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or the small business team, and we can help guide you through the process. I'm going to do a deep dive on the entire waiver right now. So in order to make sure that the waiver is filled out properly and gets expedited, it's very helpful to have the requisition available if it's a PO. If it's not a PO and it's a PAL card transaction, just go ahead and write PAL card in the requisition because we do have those instances as well. The dollar amount, the campus department, please don't abbreviate. Please actually write out your entire department and the brief scope of work. So what is what is it that you're purchasing? Is it a service? Is it a good? What type of a good? What is it being used for? So just a little bit of a brief background would be helpful. And then the next section, we have our waiver justification. So this is where we'll need you to do the search in Explorer Professional or that Supplier IO. They're used interchangeably with your single sign-on, or Cali Procure. They're both really great tools. And what we like about the Explorer Professional tool is it's a nationwide search. So it will look for any state certifications, whereas the Cali Procure is only California state. So keep that in mind. So if it's a California-based business, feel free to search in Cali Procure or the Explorer Professional, but make sure that anything outside of California is through Explorer Professional. In section B, we're going to have the UNSPC and the other codes and search terms that you used to see if you're able to find any businesses that in that commodity. So go ahead and fill those out there. And this is really important. I've been seeing a lot of waivers coming with no check marks checked off. So please take the time and read through these and see if, if it is truly something that would disrupt business operations. If that's the case, go ahead and click that. There are multiples that you can choose. You don't need to necessarily choose one. So if more apply, go ahead and choose as many as you think may apply. On the actual DocuSign, right after this section here, that paragraph, there are little paper clips, and that's where you go ahead and upload all of your backup documentation. So backup documentation is your search and a screenshot of the search, your invoice, and any other documentation that you can provide to us, statement of work, that would help with the justification. And please also fill out this justification narrative. It's really important to include why we are not using any of the small businesses or any of our contracted suppliers or strategically sourced vendors to see if they can get any of these services or goods out to you instead of just going to a random company that we don't have any connections with. So send that off, and again, it'll probably be signed within the hour. I'm pretty good at doing them, but within 24 is typically the turnaround. So moving forward, please contact us as early as possible in the purchasing process to see if we can help find a vendor or certify a selected vendor, and visit the website for all the tools available to you. We have, again, all the training videos that we've created, and Shauna's done a great job of doing a small business first waiver video and how to guide you through exactly what I just went over. And all of our resources are available on our website. So take a look over there, and I'm going to turn it over to Snail now to go over some of the fiscal close information.
Thank you, Doreen, Shauna, and Lauren. Just so you all kind of get an idea, the last time we presented the small business first policy that got rolled out, we probably did not have a lot of the in-depth information that we are sharing today. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure that we kind of go through this process one more time. Just for your understanding, the way to look at anything that you are now trying to purchase, as Doreen mentioned, I'll talk about and summarize some of the things that the team presented before I talk about the fiscal close, because we do have time. So now you can look at, as Shauna said, a list of our contracted suppliers. Obviously, you want to try to utilize that because they probably provide you the best option in terms of not requiring the waiver or having to do the search. But if you really want to utilize a small business, you're welcome to do that. Like we said, Lauren has come on board and really helped us identify suppliers that are available for various commodities, so you don't have to go through the search. So please look at those suppliers that we have available, on our website, and try to utilize those suppliers. Lauren is continuing to find suppliers that are small or disabled veterans businesses for other categories and other commodities. So she will continue to do that and continue to build that as much as she can to the extent possible. Also, the tools for search, like the supplier IO now being a single sign-on across the system, that has really helped people get onto that platform to find suppliers as well. So we are continuing to find ways to help the departments and you all not to have to spend too much time and lose time in your procurement, as Doreen was mentioning. So please make sure you take advantage of all the tools and services that we are making available for you all. Speaking of the fiscal close, I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that this memo will be coming out very soon with all the details about all the various dates, but these are some of the key high-level dates that I wanted to make sure I share with you. Essentially, on May 16th is when you will all have the opportunity to put in your requisitions and submit your POs for the next fiscal year. So, now, although the date is May 16th, you still can actually create your requisitions even now. Just save those and don't submit those. When you submit those is when you want to pull the drop down and select fiscal year 2023. But if you have all the information and want to kind of have the requisitions created and save it in your own action lists, you are welcome to do that. It's only that on May 16th, you will have the option to select the year and then basically submit your requisitions. June 1st is really what we are asking you to consider to be the date by which you should try to submit all your recurring POs or any amendments to the POs. And the reason for that is, I'm sure many of you already know now that all the various compliance requirements that we are required to follow, it does take sometimes longer for us to process the POs. Typically, what we have seen is that everybody waits to the last minute to submit their POs, and then we have a huge mad rush in the last 2 weeks of June to actually help process all the POs, and our team just gets overwhelmed. So what we are asking is that you give procurement team a little more time to actually go through all the POs that are in their action list and approve them. So let us, help us help you by submitting your requisitions and your POs and the amends sooner rather than later. If you will help us with that, we can then not get a choke point or get stuck at the last minute in June trying to get everything processed. I guarantee you, we will have a lot of PIs who would want to take care of their funds that they have available and will ask for your help to purchase things at the very last minute. And if we also have all these POs to process along with all these last minute urgent requests, it just makes it very difficult for the team. So this is it's a humble request to everybody. If you can submit your known POs ahead of time, that will help our team kind of space out their workload and not have to work long hours at the last minute.
Can I go over? I'm sorry.
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead.
Can I go over the PAL card dates? Because the June 18th is really a recommended last day because some schools have their own earlier deadline. So I just want to make sure that people are following their own finance office guidelines, because I know some schools that are larger schools have, because they also have a lot to have to take care of in terms of reconciliation. So they are asking for earlier deadlines than June 18th too. But we generally recommend like around this time, if you could stop purchasing, so that way, you don't have too many last minute orders and you think, oh, this for sure is going to hit this fiscal year, and it might not because it's supply chain issues. So if you already know that some orders are going to have a lot longer lead time, so they're not going to hit before June 30th or by June 30th, then you know that that's not going to hit this fiscal year. So you do need to speak with your own finance directors or fiscal officers in your area. And if you have any questions, you can send an email to palcard@uci.edu, and we'll answer your question as best as we can. And then the June 25th, the last day for in-store Palcard purchases to ensure the bank submits the charge by June 30th. It's because when you process the payment at the point of sale, then that transaction does get hit on that day. But I just want to make sure that people understand that there are internal policy for each department in school too. So they might not even want you to go ahead and do these kind of last minute purchases. So I just want you to keep that in mind. So that's what I want to share.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. And you all can see that Melissa also put down in the chat that the fiscal year close memo did go out yesterday. And she has also put the link that you can save or click on to get all the various dates that are applicable for the fiscal close this year. I just wanted to take this opportunity to actually share this and give everybody a heads up to be more proactive than be reactive at the last minute. Okay, so obviously, we are always looking for feedback and suggestions, and we try to take your feedback actually to determine what kind of training sessions we should be holding during this every month departmental buyers meeting. So please feel free to submit your comments, suggestions. If there is room for us to improve on what we are doing or how we are doing things, please feel free to provide that. If you have any recommendations on topics that we should be talking about and sharing with you all, please provide that in your survey. If there is any way you think we can improve this communication and the monthly meetings, we'll be more than happy to get your comments as well. It's all about improving ourselves and providing a better customer service to all of you on campus. So anything and everything we can do to help you all make your lives easier, we are here for you. So please, take the time to fill out the survey, because that's the way we know whether we are doing good, can do better. What else can we do for you all? So even if you think everything is going well, we don't mind listening to that as well, because that helps us feel good. Our team can feel good about what they are doing. And Barbara also has put something in chat for the UCI buy, a couple of catalogs that she's rolled out.
Well, some of the departments may not even be aware because they rely on blanket POs for said vendors, but it really does make the AP invoicing process a lot easier. If you do use the punch out for IDT or Azenta, you get that unique PO, and then there's a PO match and an invoice match, and everything works out as it should in an ideal procure to pay theory. But when we have open POs and whatnot, and we have been transitioning a lot of vendors because of name changes or merges, it really can get very sticky with all of these open POs and spends. So just a consideration as we roll over to the next year. Just take a look and see what catalogs are in UCFI and whether or not your departments might be able to take advantage of them.
Thank you, Barbara. So while I have the audience here and I have the time, I also wanted to bring up something that you all will be, we are going to let you all know. We have this uniform guidance where we have a lot of the requirements for federal fund purchases. In particular, we have two documents that are very important. One is if we are not doing a competitive bid or not utilizing a contracted supplier, we are required to fill out the source selection and price reasonableness form, the SSPR form, which is for sole source justification. And we also need to have the debarment verification done for many of our purchases that are on federal funds. Until now, central procurement has been trying to take care of that, but we have found from multiple audits that that's really not helping us by us being the only people who are looking at that. And it is too late by the time we actually get the PO, because the departments have already chosen who they want to utilize. So we are going to introduce a change where we are going to request all the departments to actually conduct the debarment verification of the suppliers that they choose to work with or use to get your goods and services. So we will be scheduling a training where we will be giving you guidance on what you need to do when you submit a requisition for purchases that's on federal funds. And we are going to ask the departments to now upload the debarment verification forms to the requisitions so that our team can validate that, make sure that it's appropriate and that we can actually utilize the supplier. So based on the audit findings that we have had, we need to make a change in our process. And so that's going to basically require all the departments to know and learn how to make purchases on federal funds and how to upload the debarment and anti-lobby verification forms. Or search those on sam.gov and take the printout from sam.gov and upload those to your requisitions. So just a heads up, we'll be talking about this repeatedly so everybody gets comfortable and understands the change, because it's a change. We are trying to manage the change as well as we can. So just giving you all a heads up in this meeting, and we'll probably remind you again in our next meeting. And at some point we'll, in the next couple of months, maybe after the fiscal close, maybe in July, we will actually do an entire training session on purchases on federal funds, including how to go on sam.gov. And if they are not registered in sam.gov, the form to use for the suppliers to fill out and sign that they are not debarred from doing business in the United States. Having said that, we will open this up for questions. What questions do you all have that we can answer for you?
And feel free to either type or unmute yourself, and we're here to answer them.
And I just want to thank Robert, Isabella, and Ramiro for having that conversation. And I appreciate everyone jumping in to answer those questions right away in the chat. But just to confirm, yes, we would love to have that. We need that requisition number on the waiver so we can refer back to it. So upon your first save, you do get the requisition number. So I think that would be fine. But just know that if it gets to the PO level, it will be held up until that waiver is actually received.
So just one more thing to add. I've gotten more than several questions about vendors who are not U.S. vendors for small business, so they don't qualify. So just letting you know, kind of, yeah, because people are asking, so I guess it's not that obvious to everyone. So.
Oh, that the waivers needed in those cases?
No, waivers are needed, but they're asking like, oh, it's an out of the country vendor, but do I have to check for small business certification? So there's no such thing for.
Right. Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, there is no outside of the U.S. a governing body that certifies small businesses around the world. So unfortunately, we cannot use that search tool. So depending on your justification, just click on that. And if you have any situations where you run into that and need assistance, please feel free to reach out to me or Shauna or Lauren, and we can help you select the appropriate box. And then again, no search is going to be required to be uploaded, and just send out the waiver and we'll review it based on the information that we have.
So Doreen, that's like a perfect example of where other would apply aside from Explorer or Supply or Cali Procure.
Exactly. Thanks.
Yeah, speaking of that, I also wanted to mention that we are looking at another platform called Co-Procure that actually the county of the Orange County is utilizing. And we are going to be meeting with them and talking to them and seeing if we can actually get on to Co-Procure. Co-Procure also has a list of all the small and disabled veterans businesses on their website. So we are going to be meeting with them in the very near future. And once we have a login for them or an ability to get onto their website, they also have those options of finding local small businesses or California state small businesses or anywhere in the US. And so we will try to continue to find avenues and ways for you to find small businesses and make it easy for you to search for those. So again, one more thing that we'll be looking at to see how we can help you all make your life easier.
And I think one of the greatest tools that we've developed in the last year is that list of certified small and disabled veteran business enterprises that is now found on our website. And it's a live document, so we're constantly updating it by expiration date. So you're going to see whatever that's expiring the closest at the top, and then it sort down through the bottom with all the different commodity codes and all the different marketing, life sciences, all the different tools that you need. I got one question from Rosalie. So does this waiver apply to service contracts and agreements with individuals like consultants? Yes, it does. This is any purchase between $10,000 to $250,000, obviously not on federal funds, and is not done through a strategically sourced agreement or contracted supplier. You're welcome. Do we have any other questions that we can answer for you? We left a lot of time for this presentation because I feel like we get a lot of one-off questions throughout the week as we're working through all the different waivers. So if you have any questions, feel free to type it in the group chat or to me directly if you feel, or if you want to just unmute yourself. We're here to help. Really? Is that great? Okay. Thanks, everyone.
I just want to add to, when we talk a lot about contracted suppliers, and we know we've got some big companies that we have agreements with, and there are some discussions and some things coming to the table about these big companies that are working hand in hand with small businesses. So we will keep you apprised of what those small business affiliates are, and those are absolutely a great option to use as well. And then just as a side note, with our larger contracts and agreements, I know that a lot of the sustainability and the social economical goals are built into a lot of these contracts and considered when these are being built. So it all kind of merges and works hand in hand with each other. So, the main goal is to, go across the whole board of cost savings, and then doing our part with sustainability and working with diverse and small partners.
Very good point, Shauna. Yep, I'm glad you brought it up, because we have some big suppliers like Fisher and VWR and Schoshnall and Granger. They all are actually looking very actively to find small businesses as their tier 2 suppliers. In fact, we also have large companies, even like Fisher, who is actually partnering with small businesses. And we at some point are going to start populating their catalogs with small businesses being listed on there that you can actually utilize for your purchases. So that way we get the best of both worlds. We get the contracted supplier spend, at the same time we get the small business spend. So it's going to be a win-win situation for everybody. And that's one of the things that we are now very strongly emphasizing with all of our contracted suppliers, is that they need to step up and help increase our spend with small businesses and also sustainable spend. So thank you, Shauna, for bringing it up. We are in very active conversations with all of our contracted suppliers to really help, promote small businesses. Those who, of course, who have, tier 2 suppliers that they use, because if they're the distributors, we want them to promote small businesses for their spend. So you'll continue to see this growing, because this is one of the initiatives that our president of UC, Michael Drake, actually is pushing for. And so we are taking it very seriously and trying to incorporate as much as we can in our spend.
I'm not seeing anything else in the chat, but I guess I'll just leave one last plug about training. I'm always happy to do one-on-one sessions or group sessions. I can do live work sessions. So if you have something you're working on and you need help with that, I'm happy to walk through that process with you.
And it can be outside of small business. Shauna is our
Oh, yeah.
excellent trainer.
Yes, and one more comment. This is Lauren. I've been working with facilities management as well to help some of their regular vendors become certified. So if you know you have vendors who you are working with who may qualify for small business, but don't have the formal certification, we're more than happy to work with them because we want to continue to, honor those partnerships and still getting our small business spend. Thanks.
Thanks for bringing that up, Lauren. And again, thank you for working on that with FM to get that done. I think it has really helped the team reduce the number of waivers that they need. So these are just some of the ways that we're able to assist you and your department in reducing some of this administrative burden on you.
All right, if nobody has any further questions, we can give you 15 minutes back of your schedule. And thank you again for joining these sessions, participating in it. And, again, please feel free to get back to us, fill out the survey and let us know how we are doing, how can we do things better, what you like, what you don't like, what topics you would like us to cover, and we'll be more than happy to do that. Okay.